I'm Jeff Matlow. Welcome to the best leadership podcast ever. Welcome back to the best leadership podcast ever, where every week we rethink your daily behaviors to help catapult your career. My name's Jeff Matlow. I'm a leadership coach, and I help executives and entrepreneurs overcome self-doubt and become the types of leaders that lots of people want to follow. Speaking of want to follow, I passed the street sign recently. I'm sure you've seen the street sign. It's a picture of a car driving next to the side of a mountain, and there are things falling off the mountain. Now, I don't understand this sign. Well, I understand that the sign means I'm driving in an area where loose rocks may fall off the mountainside. What I don't understand is the purpose of the sign. Now, stick with me here, because there's an important lesson on leadership that I'm about to drop like a hot mic at a rainy concert. I understand the purpose of most street signs. For instance, I understand when I see a stop sign what to do. I understand yield. I understand merge. I even understand the purpose of pedexing. I mean, when I see a pedestrian pedestrianing, I stop and I let them pass. Easy. But let's go back to that falling rock sign for a second. When I see the falling rock sign, I understand that I'm entering a location where rocks may randomly fall off the mountainside. But here's my question. What exactly am I expected to do with this information? There aren't any words on the sign to give me any clear direction, and there isn't even a hint as to my options. So should I drive while looking up the mountainside? Because that seems a little bit dangerous. Maybe I should turn around and go a different route. That seems like a really bad idea. What if I see a falling rock when I'm driving? Should I swerve into incoming traffic? Because that seems like a bad idea too. As far as I can tell, the only purpose of this sign is to warn me that I may be about to die and there's not much I can do about it. It seems to me the sign should just say something like, "Rocks may fall and kill you soon. Godspeed." Down the block from my house is a street sign that says bumps. Now, the sign seems like a reasonable enough warning that I should be slowing down. But not 5 feet from the bump sign is a road marking that says humps. It's true. There's a bump sign next to a humps road marking. So is it a bump or a hump? Are the two notifications even talking about the same thing? Am I going to run over both a bump and a hump if I continue down the road? And if so, how am I going to know the difference? I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that the sign-making team and the street painting team are both part of the same Department of Transportation. Now, after a quick Google search, I discovered that the U.S. Department of Transportation was created in 1966. What that means is that 58 years later, the organization is still unable to create consistent wording for its products. So does every team at the DOT get to determine their own terminology? Because what if another group wants to call them speed lumps? Will anybody stop them? Will we have humps, bumps, and lumps? Imagine if one department in your company called your main product the problem solver, and another department called it the solution giver. I'd assume it would cause a ton of confusion with your customers, and probably a heck of a lot of confusion with every other department in the organization. So how come the Department of Transportation has been doing this for years? Turns out, similar signage behavior happens in most companies everywhere. You see, in my executive coaching business, I've come across so many types of problems from so many different types of companies. Sometimes I'm called in to help with troubled leaders. Sometimes it's ineffective teams, and pretty often it's a piss-poor culture that I'm called in to help. Regardless of the specifics, there's usually one underlying problem for the company's issues. It's poor communication. Poor communication is a common problem in the workplace, and it comes in 3 different forms. There's saying too much, saying too little, and saying the wrong things. Let me explain. And let's go back to the street signs for this explanation. Imagine if stop signs ceased to exist. If you're never told to stop. Now, the results at intersections would be pretty darn disastrous, with cars randomly smashing into each other. Effective communication in the workplace is just as critical as it is on the road. People need to have clear instructions about when to stop, when to go, when to yield, and when to merge. I was recently hired by a company that had inherently poor communication, and it started with leadership as it usually does. There were no common goals, vision, or values for the company, and so all the departments were not aligned. Instead, the company was made up of a bunch of disparate silos, each of which thought they were the most important department to the company's success. They each thought that their initiatives should be the highest priority. Each department's competing initiatives eventually crashed into each other, like cars blasting through an intersection with no stop signs. There was frustration, there was chaos, there was confusion. Why? Poor communication. I was brought in to create a more cohesive leadership team, and what I did was teach them how to communicate more effectively. I was also hired by another company recently because the leader was a walking replica of that foreboding falling rock sign I talked about earlier. He was a micromanager who got frustrated with employees when they didn't do things the way he wanted. So he berated them, he minimized their efforts, and he made them redo their work over and over again. In the end, his poor communication accomplished nothing beyond what that falling rock street sign does, which is just incite fear and confusion among people. So when it comes to effective communication at work, there are 3 critical rules that we can learn from street sign. First, words matter. Secondly, be clear and consistent with your message. Otherwise, it's going to get confusing. And number 3, don't say things for the sole purpose of making people scared. It's not productive and it's not helpful. Here's my point in all of this. Effective communication is critical. No matter who you are, no matter what you think, your communication isn't always effective. That's just about being human. It takes consistent practice, honest feedback, and open-mindedness to improve your communication skills. And just like street signs are meant to inform, guide, and protect us on the road, your words should always inform, guide, and protect your team. So think, what assumptions are you making when you explain things to less experienced team members? Because your words matter. And are you sure people understand your goals and visions, or are you just assuming they do? Are you being clear and consistent with that message? And what conversations are you avoiding? Remember, the road to success follows signs that are clear, consistent, and thoughtful. So keep trying to do that, and watch out for falling rocks along the way. If you want to reach out to me for anything, you can find me at bytitleonly.com. I'd love to hear from you. If you like this, please give it 5 stars. Please give it a review. It means so much. If you're interested in coaching, I'm at leadership@bytitleonly.com. Either way, I appreciate you for listening, and I'll talk to you next time. Have a great week.